The New Jersey Devils are chock full of young talent, but is this the year that young talent gels and they move on to the next level? Trey Matthews of Locked On Devils is here to talk about that and all things Devils as they head into training camp.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL podcast. Gil Martin, so glad you could join us today, and thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. It is my pleasure to welcome back to the show the host of Locked On New Jersey Devils, Trey Matthews. And Trey, a very interesting offseason for the New Jersey Devils. The young talent starting to mature. You add an experienced Stanley Cup winner like Ondrej Palat to the mix. What does Palat bring to the table at this point for a team that has so much young talent that's ready to mature and come together?
Well, how did we get Ondrej Palat in the first place? Well, obviously the New Jersey Devils going into the offseason, they were swinging for the fences. They were in the mix for Kevin Fiala, Alex DeBrincat, Matthew Tkachuk when he was available to trade, Johnny Gaudreau during free agency, which I think you and I can relate on that pain a little bit more because you are the host of Locked On Islanders. Overall, we did swing for the fences. Unfortunately, we didn't get any of those players, but it's always okay to get plan B versus plan X, Y, and Z. And so that's what Ondrej Palat was. He was just plan B. And what he brings to the table is that veteran leadership, which I think the New Jersey Devils have been missing ever since Taylor Hall left. And not to discredit our captain, Nico Hischier, not to discredit any of our assistant captains, but who's the leader on the New Jersey Devils? Like, who's the person who's like, look, guys, I've been in this situation before. Who's the person who pulls the bootstrings and just be like, okay, look, we're going into battle. We're on a God knows how many game losing streak. We need to get out of this now. Here's how you do it. You have someone like Ondrej Palat added to the mix, and you have a few other veteran pieces added to the mix as well. So overall, that's my mindset for Ondrej Palat, which is he gives us more scoring depth because that's a big issue that the New Jersey Devils had last year because we relied too heavily on Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt, and Nico Hischier on the scoring. Yegor Sharangovich and Dawson Mercer were inconsistent at parts. Yegor Sharangovich at the beginning of the year, Dawson Mercer towards the end of it. So it was just like, where do we get that extra scoring from? And Ondrej Palat is going to provide that for the New Jersey Devils. And it's not just him. We were able to get Marino, who made a playoff appearance with the Pittsburgh Penguins organization. Vitek Vanacek is obviously going to be either our 1A or our 1B goalie. We're still trying to figure that out. And the New Jersey Devils just basically adding these veteran pieces. Eric Haula will be a big help on our bottom six. So the main mindset for Tom Fitzgerald for the New Jersey Devils was just like get more depth and also get more experience.
You touched on Vitek Vanacek and the goaltending situation. How do you see this falling out? And can Mackenzie Blackwood bounce back and have a better year this year?
I think Mackenzie Blackwood will bounce back for the New Jersey Devils. We kind of gave him like a Corey Schneider type of treatment, which was we relied too heavily on him. We didn't give him a backup goalie to help him out, and he was prone to injuries. And unfortunately, I just said, like, we got to fix it right now. We tried with Corey Crawford. We tried with Jonathan Bernier. But now looks like we're going to have to rely on another young piece to try to be that suitable backup or maybe even be the starting goalie if worse comes to worse. So I think Mackenzie Blackwood will bounce back for the New Jersey Devils. I think, there were rumors saying that he wanted out of New Jersey. I think those rumors have pretty much died out. So they were either not true or like I just said, they just were able to make up, and now they're going to put their focus on this season. And with Vitek Vanacek, solid goalie, very young, obviously not really a good playoff goalie, but we're trying to walk before we run. So I think that's the whole mindset for New Jersey Devils with Vitek Vanacek. And I think his numbers will get a little worse just because the Washington Capitals aren't in front of him at the goalie position. It's now the New Jersey Devils, a much younger, inexperienced team. So I think Vitek Vanacek will definitely be a big help for New Jersey Devils. I don't know the status on Jonathan Bernier. I don't anticipate him playing another NHL game. So I think we're going to have to rely on maybe like Nico Dawes to be the third string goalie for the Utica Comets organization, which is our AHL team. So yeah, that's where I stand with the goalie situation. I think Mackenzie Blackwood has recovered, according to Ryan Novozinski, who covers the New Jersey Devils for NJ.com. And I anticipate for him to have a bounce back year. And for Vitek Vanacek, just stay healthy. Don't worry about your playoff numbers. We're not at that point yet. And just be solid like you were with the Washington Capitals, because I did a silly season episode during the course of the summer, and I said, what are some goalies that the New Jersey Devils could realistically pursue? I said they could pursue Holtby, they could pursue Kemper. That's a bit of a long shot. And then I said Vanacek. And I was like, Vanacek is a restricted free agent. It would have to come at the expense of a trade. But I think Vitek Vanacek would be the more realistic option and the option I'd be happy with, because if we were to get someone like Holtby, I don't think that would help much. Kemper, long shot. Vitek Vanacek, realistic option.
Very appreciative of you there, figuring that out, and the team following your advice. I love it. I love it. Talk to me a little bit about Jack Hughes, where he's at, and what he's going to mean to this team this year.
Okay, I got to call some people out. Just yesterday, I was talking to some Senators fans, and they were like, Tim Stützle and Jack Hughes are a wash, which I don't know if that's Canadian lingo for like on the same boat or tied. But I need people to know Jack Hughes was on pace to score 90 or so points, and he was hurt for more than a good chunk of the season. He got hurt at the beginning of the year, and he got hurt at the end of the year. This isn't like a Cole Caulfield situation where a coaching change was able to help him out. This is a whole new situation in which he only appeared in 49 games?
Yes.
So if he appears in 70 or in all 82 games, Jack Hughes is going to be the first player in New Jersey Devils history to eclipse 100 points. So I need people to realize that Jack Hughes is on a whole new different level, and they need to realize that he is a superstar in the making, but people don't realize it because he's hurt for a good chunk of the year. COVID certainly didn't help because he suited up in all 56 games during the 2021 season. And then during his rookie year, obviously that's when the pandemic first hit. So Jack Hughes wasn't able to finish out the rest of the year. And going back to Trevor Zegras as well, I said this, and I don't regret saying this at all. Trevor Zegras wishes he was Jack Hughes. He wishes he was Jack Hughes. I know they're good friends. I know Cole Caulfield is also friends with them. But Jack Hughes, out of those three players, and also Tim Stützle, I'll add that to the mix. I'm sorry, Locked On Ducks. I'm sorry, Locked On Sens. I'm sorry, Locked On Canadians. Jack Hughes is going to be the truth. And he's going to win the Hart Memorial Trophy at some point during his career. I'd say, I'm not crazy, I'd say in the next few years or so. And he's going to be the first Devils player to eclipse 100 points. I just had to go on that little bit of a tangent, and I had to call some people out. I'm sorry.
Sorry, not sorry, right?
Absolutely.
56 points in 49 games, 26 goals, 30 assists. The talent definitely there, and I agree with you. If he could stay healthy for a year, the sky is the limit for Jack Hughes. Real quick, because we are running out of time, Devils had a prospects tournament this past weekend. Anyone stand out in your mind over that weekend tournament?
Alexander Holtz, and it's another thing that I said. I said if Alexander Holtz, he needs to show out every chance he gets, whether it's this prospects challenge, whether it's preseason, training camp, whatever the case might be, because he's competing with a good number of people for the last few roster spots for New Jersey Devils, because the top six is pretty much a lock. You know, Heischer, Hughes, Sharangovich, Mercer, Palat, Bratt, all those guys are a lock to make the top six. Now it's a competition for the bottom six. Who's going to make the roster? Who's going to be waived? Who's going to be sent down to Utica? I said Alexander Holtz. He was drafted, 7th overall just a couple years ago in the 2020 NHL draft. People have lost out on him a little bit. They were saying that maybe he should be involved in trade discussions when we're talking about Matthew Tkachuk or Kevin Fiala, whatever the case might be. And I was like, no, Alexander Holtz is going to be special. He's a sniper. You just got to give him a sizable role to succeed, because that was the issue. That's why he didn't make the team last year, is because we couldn't give him that sizable role. And when he was given a cup of coffee in the NHL, of course, he's not really going to perform up to par. But if he was struggling in Utica, then I'd be concerned. But he was lighting it up in Utica. He was one of their best scorers. And he was training with Jesper Bratt during the course of the offseason. He looks stronger. He has the strength of a locomotive and the finesse of a ballerina. I'm stretching it a little bit, but yeah, Alexander Holton pressed me, and he took over in that game against Montreal Canadiens. He tied the game, and then he won the game in OT. So, Alex, and for the 3 shots he missed early on in the game, you knew that he was out with a purpose. So Alexander Holtz is the truth.
All right, there you go, Trey Matthews. Trey, why don't you let our viewers and our listeners know where they could find the podcast and where they could find you on social media?
You can find me on social media at TreyMatt4 and also the show story page at Locked On Devils. You can find the podcast show wherever you get your podcast streaming service. Also on YouTube. Road to 1,000 subscribers, more than halfway there. So help me out a little bit.
All right, Trey, thanks so much for joining us today. Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your pro and college football betting needs and sports info this season. Find all the latest football league developments, game matchups, news, and podcasts, including this year's early season games. BetOnline is also your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. It's the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf. And of course, NHL preseason is just about a week away. You can head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts.